Queensland's first building workers were convicts. They worked in chains under threat of the lash to lay the foundations of the state. Some of their work can still be seen today. Amongst those convicts were men who had been transported to Australia for being trade unionists. As the colony grew, convicts were replaced by free labourers, many of whom were highly skilled. They were convinced this new land held great promise, but working conditions were harsher than most had ever known. On the 29th of August 1857, a letter appeared in the Moreton Bay Courier calling Brisbane workers to action. To the working classes who are now seeking to lessen their hours. 8 hours toiling in this climate is more exhausting than 10 in England. The moral force of the people was never greater or more influential than at present. Their cause is good, but can only be achieved by the determination and self-reliance of each member. Those who would be free themselves must strike the blow. Spurred on by this public call for action, a group of stonemasons gathered in Henry Street, Spring Hill, on the 18th of January 1858 to form a union. Success came quickly but was brief. In March 1858, Brisbane stonemasons worked the first 8-hour day in Queensland. The following years saw a number of other building unions formed, and the fight for shorter working hours widened. On the 1st of March 1865, members of the stonemasons, carpenters, painters, bricklayers and plasterers unions marched through the streets of Brisbane, proudly waving their trade banners. The march became Australia's first popular public celebration and is still recognised today as the Labor Day holiday. But the economy was fragile. As work dried up, union membership fell and the 8-hour day was lost. When public works recommenced and the economy rebounded, the fight was revived. In late 1875, excavation work began on the dry dock at South Brisbane. It was hard work with long hours. The hot Queensland climate took its toll, and a man collapsed and died on the job. Workers downed tools, demanding the government grant an 8-hour day on all public works. The government resisted, but the workers were resolute and maintained the strike until the 8-hour day was won. Union activity increased in the following years, with wage rises, travelling time and a 44-hour week secured. But by the 1890s, much of Australia was in a depression.
The 1880s were fairly good, but 1890 we ran into the big depression where banks folded and things were pretty tough. Unions went down in membership after the big shearers' strike in 1891, and in 1894 the trade union movement was reduced to its knees.
Workers began to question the very basis of society. Some believed a political solution was needed, and they began agitating for a workers' party to be formed. Others began to talk openly about revolution. Henry Lawson, living in Brisbane at the time, captured the mood of Queensland workers. So we must fly a rebel flag, as others did before us. And we must sing a rebel song and join in rebel chorus. We'll make the tyrants feel the sting of those that they would throttle. They needn't say the fault is ours if blood should stain the wattle.